Yes.
Let's get this over with. I have a feeling tonight is going to be really short. Yikes. Okay, well, ona gadi wa higa jokwa, so what I want to see you, seniority. Gazit Ansru, you just go in on Jay on Dutch Square in Star, no, not that Rooney. Retinu Wada, do Gronga Gadi Ogesu, yet the Sota Asatanka Gadokwa, yet is in the Star, the Onzagi, no, no, Gwego Scott, make an ungwe. Retinu Wada do so weird, and it Kundun Hetzerat Gawis, Agwades and E, Ganyat the Gerdo, and Aquego Aquadzari, and Ukosuma. Retinu Wada do. Yeti sota gunhan då när det hetster när gani gurir det hawa kwe dam dawe aron hetsera gazet stansera med ganungwe dam dawe aron hetsera gazet stansera ne asat ni gat dordige ganyaga haga radinyato no nata roni dano riskarewage dano dam dawe adon gatsera agwego ona godo gayana rasera go aneskana ori huio kari wa gori shunsera dano gazet stansera Jonkia again hadam dawe adon hetsera yorakwa whisk si honzage ne gonna shunwe unwe if that's the way to say it. Okay, as you know, every time we get together for council, meeting, ceremony, anything of importance, we always have to carry out a Hontagari Wadekwa first. This is where we identify and give thanks to the things within creation that have created us and the things that we need to continue to sustain us. So we always begin in the repetitive cycle of giving our thanks to the great spiral of creation. That when you look up into the nighttime sky, you're not looking into cold, dark, empty, lifeless space the way that non native science would lead you to believe. No, instead, you are looking into the living, vibrant body of our great mother. And so we give thanks to her, the sky woman, as it is she who has given us spirit. From there, we give our thanks to the beating heart of our mother earth, to Grandma Moon. It's she who regulates the flow of the lifeblood in all things. And so we give thanks to her, to Grandma Moon, as it is she who has given us blood. From there, we give our thanks to our Mother Earth, regardless of what color you are, what language you speak, where you've grown up from Mother Earth, or more importantly, what you imagine divides us. As you see today, what you imagine divides you from your sister and brother, that allows you to be angry, to harbor anger and hate towards them, and even to wage war upon them to kill them. Now, we know that in this world, that one of the, according to everybody on earth, all religions, whatever, one of the cardinal sins is to commit murder. But it's okay to kill people in war, but it's wrong to take a human life. So there's some kind of crazy mix up in the non native world where they get all confuddled, forwards and backwards, mixed up, not knowing which way they're going, when their beliefs say it is wrong to take a human life. But then their practices, their collective practices, have engaged for thousands of years, just as long as they've had their gods, in actually collectively killing people. So obviously, within the non-native world, there is this thing that says, "Hey, don't kill people." Sounds good to say that. Don't kill people. But the practice, the collective practice, is that of everybody who does believe in some kind of religion, some kind of God, one way or another, they all partake in collective murder. Everybody. So there is something wrong with the God syndrome. There is something wrong in there that doesn't compute, that doesn't see through or follow through with the belief system of saying, I believe it's wrong to kill people. So that's the belief system, but then the actual application is to kill people. So there is something wrong in the God syndrome. There is something there there's a short circuit. The wires got crossed or something. Anybody who believes in God, all have for thousands of years have all partaked in collective murder. So what is the difference here? There's something within, well, not the difference, but what is the breakdown? There's something in the God syndrome in every false man-made religion, which is all religions. There is no such thing as a true religion. But all man-made religions all have this, say this thing, but then do the exact opposite. That is crazy. Why would you even have this thing that says do this when the collective always does the exact opposite? What is that? That seems to be like a pre uh not a prerequisite, a pre condition or a way. I can't. When we identify the process, then we'll know what words to put on it. That there's a process here of where the people make themselves think the highest of themselves through their religion, and then the collective practice of what they call government that undermines their religion, that says don't kill people. As you see right now, the wars are continuing. People may have thought that okay, there seems to be a little bit of a slowdown, like there seems to be a bit of maybe even ceasefire or whatever, so everybody can breathe a little less restrictive, but it's not the case. If you're keeping an eye on what's happening with the United States invading and continuing to assault Iran. Well, there was a supposed agreement a couple of weeks ago, it didn't work. They got back into hostilities. And then supposedly there's another agreement, and apparently, it seems like that isn't holding up now either. That they're saying that Iran has, with gunboats, are shooting at ships going through the Strait of Hormuz. So first, the U.S. Invades, closes everything down, and then Iran takes control of the Strait of Hormuz, and then a supposed uh, peace ceasefire, and then back into war, and then a supposed deal to open the Strait of Hormuz. Iran said that all ships can travel through, but then the U.S. kept a blockade on something that wasn't blockaded in the first place until Iran blockaded it as a result of the United States blockading. And then at the end, the only one blockading is the United States. The only people in the entire region that have no goddamn business anywhere in that region, have nothing to do over there, but yet they are the ones initiating all the negative ups and downs that have been happening, which affects you directly in the stock market, affects you at the gas pump, affects you at the grocery store, and if not already, affects you with your therapist, or eventually getting to a therapist. So these things are affecting everyone on earth that is stemming from religious beliefs. As you know, that Trumpler identified that it's a holy war. So it's a religious belief thing that's happening. So military is waging war, killing people, when everyone who's in the military is religious, and even the military, when they send their troops out, they have a priest that praise to their God to have them have a successful whatever they're doing. So the God on this side is being prayed to on behalf of all the soldiers and being asked to look after all the soldiers. And the God on that side is being prayed to by to look after all the soldiers. So everybody's praying to the same God, asking their side to win a war that shouldn't even be happening, because according to the religion that they're praying to in the first place says that it's wrong to kill people. So it just shows you that in the non-native world, the white man is really, you cannot be any more insane. Everything that we see happening in the world, the negatives that everybody knows, there's so many, no need to count them. We don't have enough fingers and toes on all of us to be able to count all the negatives that are happening in the non-native world that are being inflicted to the natural world, that are actually stopping the natural world's living systems from being able to continue to function proper. So this means that as time goes on, that the living systems of Mother Earth are getting to the point of where they will not be able to reanimate. That reanimation, which all of us depends on, you are reanimating right now. There's parts of you that is in reanimation phase, skin falling off of you. You don't realize it, but when we think of the amount of skin that falls off of us on a daily basis, if it wasn't reanimated on a daily basis, we would watch ourselves deteriorating. No matter how much we ate to get fat in response, we would watch our bodies deteriorating. So it tells us that we are in constant reanimation. Something is reanimating us that is beyond our control to say reanimate, or that's enough reanimating now. Hold off on reanimating until 7 o'clock. It can't be done. There is something else in power that is reanimating our living systems constantly on a daily basis. Well, what might that be? Well, that's creation. That's what we identify as Yunki Dizu, those that have created us, meaning that which came before us. Of course, when we say that, the first thing that you think you would mean is your own immediate mother and father, grandparents, great-grandparents. Yes, those that created us, but also that mosquito that lived and died just a day ago. That's part of what created us, because the living system that mosquito is a part of is part of what makes up your humanity. Now, you may not think that we need mosquitoes, to have the color of our eyes or the pigmentation of our skin or our beliefs. But without that mosquito, you cannot say what your living systems would look like. But you do know that mosquito, like every part of creation, is a functioning part of creation, therefore a necessary part, and therefore each thing that is reanimating on a daily basis contributes to the collective of all life on earth that keeps reanimating, including yourself. So that deer that's hunted by a wolf and gives life to wolf pups, it is helping you to reanimate on a daily basis. We can go through the whole process and show how the hip bone's connected to the leg bone type of thing, and identify and clearly identify how that mosquito or that deer being eaten by wolves is contributes to your human evolution, your reanimation process. Right off the top of my head, I can't go through all of that to show you the roadmap of how it gets there, but safe to say that we all understand that this is all a part of our living systems, and we need it also. Basically, going back to that, we are all one living system. And so if we are one living system and your beliefs tell you not to kill other things within your living system, then you shouldn't kill other things. Because if we're all one living system, then those things that we would kill would actually be ourselves, and we would be killing ourselves. We would be suicidal. And to be suicidal is just a reflection of the insanity within the consciousness of the being. So the being, not being, the being is not self-aware. And this is the non-native world. They are not self-aware. They are not aware, period, of anything, of basically you can tell through the conduct, they're not aware of a damn thing, of any connections from humans to the rest of creation. Because if you were aware of these connections, what connects you to the trees, well then if you're aware of it, then you wouldn't be cutting down the forests, you wouldn't be clear cutting. If you were aware of your connections to anything, then you would not be commodifying it, you would not be destroying it, because absolutely everything, just take it, like take a dart and throw it in any direction, wherever it's going to land, that is the target. So you think everything that the collective conduct of humanity, what they are doing through commodification is destroying everything. So throw your dart somewhere. Hey, it landed on a tree. Throw it over there. It lands on a potato plant. Lands on a rock. Lands in the water. No matter what humans are doing, no matter what you look at or address, humans are destroying it through the process of commodification. Now, commodification, of course, people don't really think or consider that. You just think of what you know as economy. It's taught to you, and it's been there for hundreds of years now, to the point of where you just think that this is a natural part. Like you are born with 2 legs and 2 arms, and you think, okay, that's humanity. There's nothing else. But there's another part of you that you don't acknowledge, that you can't even see, that's connected to you, and this is your belief in economy, which is commodification. And your belief in it, your participation in it, is the grassroots what's the word? It's the grassroots involvement of humanity in death and destruction, because commodification is war. The moment you commodify something, you commodify anything, then it's you trying to control that so that you can get more, whatever, more money, more commodity, more economic benefit. So through economics, the world is waging war on creation, and you have no clue as to how it begun, and you have absolutely no way of perceiving a separation of, you from economy, you from commodification. You never thought about it. You would never conceive of it. But how do you become controlled by a system of commodification? How did that happen? When for bazillions of years, since before man's corruption existed in the world, for bazillions of years, there was no commodification. Nothing like that going on within creation anywhere. This is only within the last couple of thousand years. It's since the advent of non-natives religions. This is where commodification comes in. So it's only in the last couple of thousand years that commodification is here, and this is the non-natives' knowledge of the world. Your history is only of the last couple of thousand years, and the only thing that you are certain of in your histories is the wars that your history is centered around. Your history is not centered around when humans evolved to a greater understanding of how to live in peace. Of course, in non-native world, that can't be a part of your history because that never happened. It was you were derailed off of that natural plane of existence prior to the creation or the invention of the God syndrome of the all false man-made religions. And all these false man-made religions all stem from those Abrahamic religions, you know, the big three, just like in Detroit, the big three automakers. Well, the big three religion makers of what is it? Judaism, Christianity, and the Islam. Yeah. So all of those and every other religion are all fake, all false, and they are all about commodification. All of them are, you'll see, as you examine them, they're all rooted in the commodification of gold, of silver, of things that are considered to be high value within the open market. So the reality of religion is that it's not separate from normal human practices or normal human conduct. Like they'll tell you that religion and government are to be separated. This is not true. It gives you this false perception of separation to the point of where you won't ever think about it because your church and state says that they're separate, but it's a lie. It's not true. But it gives you this perception then of that, well, you don't kill because it's a sin. You don't take somebody's life, but then your politics says it's okay to take people's lives. It's okay to murder. It's okay to wage war. It's okay to kill when it's official. Oh, the corruptions in the non-native world are so complete that it's like a dog chasing its tail around in circles that you can never get to the beginning or the end of anything. You'll never understand a damn thing. It's just a continuous recycling of one confused generation after the other, where you just have confusion. This generation, from their parents, they pass it on to their children. To their children, they pass it on to their children. So every generation is just lost in confusion as a result of religion, which is war, which is commodification. Once you start commodifying, you must separate yourself from the connection to the trees because they're commodified. Well, that tree is worth, I don't know, like you'll get maybe one tree, maybe you'll get I don't know, maybe 22 by 4s out of it, you know, a couple of 2x6s, and maybe even a timber, a 4x4 or a 6x6, and it might be worth maybe $100. And then when you resell it, well, then it's worth hundreds of dollars. You know, so to commodify it, you separate your connection to it, your living connection, your appreciation for it, in order for you to be locked into the system of exploitation of whatever it is that you've commodified. So the non-native world is stuck with their heads up their rear ends in the dark ages of war, because it's very dark up your rear end, and they cannot see daylight ever because of this commodification that they are forever stuck in, working forever. You must work, because within commodification, it means that somebody has to control the thing. It's like going into a casino. There's got to be a house, otherwise you're not gambling. You could have all these gambling devices there, you know, whatever. But without a house to be the one controlling it all, then all those devices are useless. You can't gamble. So in the world, there is a house that is in control of all commodification, of all economics, and this is the entity that went around the world creating the colonial infrastructure. The colonial infrastructure is nothing but a way of how to process, extract and process Mother Earth's life force And where does it go to? In the United States or here in so-called Canada, when you are processing the trees, when you're processing the earth, the soil, who are you processing it for? Who is actually paying you to do that? Where's it coming from? You might say, well, whoever's buying a 2x4 to build their patio deck, no way, that's not where it's coming from. Right now, it would look that way, but when you follow back the colonial system, you will see that no matter where you want to believe it, where you are now today, it is stemming from how and where that system was created. So it was created hundreds of years ago around the earth through colonial advancement, and all of it, all extraction and processing and extraction and selling exploitation is all channeled through the Golden Mile in Britain, in London. London, Britain, is the ones that established the game that everybody is playing on Earth, the game of commodification. But it wasn't like this before. We did not have commodification here. As you know, that if you've been with us through the process of the formation of the League of Peace, that the commodification was addressed. Hiawatha addressed it and dealt with it and basically caged it within the wampum process. The wampum process is a living process of how we interact with each other based on friendship, sisterhood, brotherhood, kinship, clanship, all of this. Commodification goes against all of that. And so it is like a double-sided coin. You can say one side is good, one side is bad. The commodification is the bad, the trade of not commodifying, but investing in your sister and brother, in their health and in their well-being. And so many of you have heard this in the past. We said like about one of the things about commodification of how the native people here dealt with it and overpowered it. That Hiawatha dealt with it through wampum, and then after that, wampum became a process of record keeping, of as opposed to just trade. Here's this wampum, it's worth 10 bushels of corn. I trade it for your wampum, which is 10 moose. So as the scenario goes, as you know, you've heard this in the past, we're trading with the Anishinaabe last year, and we gave them 10 bushels of corn for 10 moose. This year they come with 5 moose, and we got 10 bushels of corn. So what happens there? What's got to be done to even it out? Well, to even it out, everybody naturally says, well, if they only brought 5 moose, and last year we gave them 10 bushels of corn for it, then everybody thinks that, well, okay, then it would be only 5 bushels of corn this year. No, it wouldn't. That is commodification. But investing in your friends, in your family, in your loved ones, and not investing for commodity return, but investing for just the mere fact of life, that you want life to go on living, then it would mean that when we went to trade, after we were through the formation of the league, after we were at peace, then it was no longer just men going to trade. Now the life givers were with us. And so when we're there, and maybe the life givers weren't there last year, let's say it was the first year, so they only heard that, well, we traded straight across last year, 10 bushels of corn, 10 moose. So this year the men would say, okay, then only 5 bushels of corn. And this is where then the investment and of the life givers being there would then say that, no, we don't reduce our investment in our relationship. When we see that they are only giving 5 moose and we have 10 bushels of corn, you would think, hold back 5 bushels of corn, only give them 5. No, what it tells us is that if they're only given 5 moose, and last year they gave 10, this year they're having a bad year. So it tells us that we not only give them the full 10 bushels of last year, but now to balance it out, the responsibility lies on us. If we are the richer, then now this year what we must do is give them 15 bushels of corn for just 5 moose. This is not commodification. This is living trade between family. And as we said, we're all sisters and brothers, regardless of where you've grown up from Mother Earth. And so this is how the people of the Five Nations Longhouse Confederacy overpowered commodification, meaning overpowered war, how we attained peace. And it all roots down to the life givers not being in control, but being the authority. So when we are there trading, they might say, they might not even say anything because they don't even know from the year before. They'll just be thinking, okay, the men know how to do this. But then with them being there and observing and then saying, well, if they, deducting from what transpired last year, then it's the women that identified that we must make up the slack. Whoever is richer or has more of something, they are the ones that must balance out the scales between their sisters and brothers and they. And so we would give this year, for only 5 moose, we would give 15 bushels of corn. That would balance things out, because that would mean that then the Anishinaabe, who we're trading with, would then be able to feed themselves throughout the year. They wouldn't be struggling. And if they were struggling, then they might have to invade or cross lines into our territory. Maybe we wouldn't take it as an invasion and say, hey, get out of here, and like have a military standoff with them. But we would definitely take it as an incursion into our, what would be our, bread basket. And maybe this one time this year, we might say, okay, just let it go. But then it happens again, and we'd say, oh no, we can't let it go. A third time, we would have to take action. So this is where and how commodification is synonymous with war. You cannot have commodification in this world where everything is given to us, because then who is the one commodifying? It's not the one who's providing it to us. There is all of a sudden a third person, a middleman. Who is that? Well, non-native world, you call it government. It's pirate. It's piracy. It's a thief. Anybody that taxes you, that that's a thief. In school, if somebody's taxing your lunch, is that the official policy of the school? No. You know what it is. That is a bully. And so the reality of what everybody is living right now in a state of war is because of the bullies within what they call so-called government. And the so-called governments that are responsible for the state of war that you're in, they lead you to believe that there's groups or gangs that are called NATO. Hey, who's NATO? That's all one group. It's just one group of people. It's not many different countries. The United Nations is not many different countries. The United Nations is made up of colonized entities. And those colonized entities are not separate entities from the ones that went out and colonized. So they're all one. So when you hear of that, well, NATO's behind this, Who the hell is NATO? NATO is just one crazy white person in Europe. That's all it is. That's where they come from. And they went around colonizing, and they created this colony over there, and they said between themselves, hey, okay, now you're a country, so now you support what I'm doing. They got to support what each other's doing because they're both pirates. They're both thieves. So the thieves got to support each other if they want to keep having victims that they can steal from, that they can live the easy life. And this is what is got the world in a state of nonstop war for thousands of years. You are having your children kill each other while the entity that is controlling you is living the high life all the time. Look at in the United States, you got the worst example of a human ever, Trumpler, who evaded the draft for the Vietnam War. He evaded that. Yes, he was of age to fight in the Vietnam War, but he evaded it. While everybody else who wasn't born with a silver spoon in their mouth had to go and take their risks at getting killed or killing one way or another. They all lost their lives there. Their lives as a human being were all gone. And now here's this guy, Trumpler, who avoided war, evaded the draft, and now he's the biggest warmonger this world has ever seen. Wow, you can't get more privileged than that. And with the wars that he's waging, you don't see his sons in these wars. No way in hell. Not even a window dressing, at least like what they did in Britain. You know, their current king, his two sons, or one of them at least, was in the military. I mean, it's not like he was ever going to be put in harm's way or anything, but at least he was in the military. Trumpler's son, gonna be complete evasion. And everybody is following Trumpler's warmongerism in pushing the world to the brink of annihilation. It's not just like you're at war now, like, hey, it's just your average war. You know, there's a couple of 100,000 people or even millions will get killed. Typical war. No, this one is very different. This one is not a war of like what other wars have been. This one is pretty much the first war that anybody can fully pinpoint, fully draw the roadmap to, that it's created not by the United States, it's created by Israel. And it is a war of religious belief. Wow. Imagine you sending your children to go and get killed on behalf of a Jewish belief. Wow. So the world has never been in such a state of this discrepancy. Is that a word? Discrepancy. Yeah, in such a state of shitholiness as what Trumpler has put it in, and pushing the world to be on edge in not just a war, but in what they call hellfire, meaning nuclear war. There's only one way this is going to play out. Only one way it ends. Now, what they're doing is just bouncing around back and forth until trying to avoid the end, you know, trying to one way or another distract the people from knowing what the outcome is going to be, or from seeing the outcome. Because the more that they can keep this thing going without you seeing the outcome, then the more you're sucked into it, the more you support it. Everybody on earth, just like in the past couple of years, everybody on earth had a position of you were either for or against what the Jews were doing to the Palestinians. And so now, the more that they drag this out, everybody, all the white people on earth, are all going to be against Iran. There's no way that the white people are going to side with Iran. No way. So they're going to side with, the longer that's drawn out, they get more support for it, so that when the time comes to push that button, that it is a thing that everybody is adjusted to, in the belief that this must happen. It only must happen under the ways, the provisions of commodification. Without an economy, you will not have war. Without commodification, you will not have war. You will not have the destruction of the environment. And so the non-native world is stuck, like you're born into this world, like what an alternate part of your brain or an alternate reality of that there's somewhere in your brain economy. You're born into that you cannot see any other way other than economics, to the point of where, as some of you, if you've been with us, you know that there's people in Akwesasne and here in Ganawagi and all throughout Five Nations Longhouse Confederacy territories who are all stupidly hell-bent on in this belief of economy, that you need to have a structure of economics, a structure of a dollar or something like that where you can trade. Everybody is hell-bent in believing that. Well, this is what is the cause behind all wars. Again, it's behind all destruction. And here in Ganawagi, it is behind the lead braining of our children at the Ganawagi Survival School for the past 40 years. It's all economics, because the survival school was not placed on those grounds by anybody here in Ganawagi, like to say, let's save up our money and put our kids in a school and we're going to build a school over there. Nobody in Ganawagi did that. That money comes from outside sources. It comes from the province, it comes from the Fed. And so here in Ganawagi, when that money was received, it was received as a precursor to the Ganawagi Survival School being built right on top of this industrial lead recycling complex, which attacks the central nervous system, the development of the brain, the development of the reproductive system. And so our people have been through commodification, lead-brained, retarded back from being advanced into having like the equivalent of undevelopedness within our reproductive systems, within the development of our brains, within the development of our central nervous system, which means every part of your living being, your living body. So this is done through commodification. Everybody in Ganawagi who went to the survival school for the past 40 years have all been commodified. Who do you think commodified you? Who's behind it? Is it just your mother and father who sent you there? Or did they send you there under threat of that if they didn't send you there, that social services would come and take you away from them, that social services empowered through the band system? This is what has commodified you. The band system. They are the genocide compliant. And so the band system has been in a conspiracy with the province and the Fed to place a high school on top of a lead recycling plant that is known. It was known when it was built there. There is no way anybody can say we did not know. Anybody in Ganawagi who would say that is a bald-faced liar. So it shows you conspiracy, that people here within Ganawagi conspired to do this to our children, to poison our children, to destroy our people. Hey, who do you think did it? Well, it's people in the band system. Who are they? Are they our people? No, they are not our people. They are white people. Their mothers are not Ganyangahaga. They are whites. And this is how they have been trained. This is how they have been bred. They have been bred that way. Now, people may not like the word bred, but that's the reality. You know, just like the way humans breed pit bulls or breed chihuahuas or anything else, any other animal, or these nuclear bunny rabbits. Ganawagi is bred to be a certain way, which is retarded. And you understand the word, what retarded means? We have been retarded from being advanced to being backwards now, to being reversed. And this is what comes about through commodification and the ban system's compliance with it. And everybody in Ganawagi is subjected to it. And so one way or another, now your health, your personal health, is what has been commodified, and that is what is actually being traded back and forth. Every time you got to go to the hospital for this cancer or this illness or that. And Ganawagi is a sinkhole for cancers. It's a hotspot for cancers, for illnesses, diseases, stuff like this, that will be amplified when the people don't have a properly functioning central immune system. And that comes from being placed on top of a lead plant. So when that was done, if you went to school there, you were being commodified. You are the commodity. Okay, so this is what's becoming more and more clear. We're going to talk about it every time. At every Zoom, we're going to talk about it because, again, just to express that 3 weeks ago now, if not 4, the Ganawagi Ed Center put out a statement identifying that lead has been found in the maple water at the Sugar Shack at the Ganawagi Survival School. But the dummies within there were stupid enough to say that it's safe for the students to be in school. These are retards. Retards. You cannot shut down a Sugar Shack that's at a high school and then turn around and say it's safe for the students to remain in school. No way. Only a retard would say that. And so this tells you that everybody who's got children at the Ganawagi Survival School, they are the commodity. You are allowing your children to be a commodity. And in the future, one way or another, they are going to be generators for the economy, but either by having to continuously go to the hospital for some kind of illness here or there, and that generates part of the economy, or else just by dying and being buried at a certain young age, and where your offspring lose you at a young age, putting pressure on them, it creates an economic pressure on the generations down the line, precisely like what happens in Japan, where when somebody dies in Japan, well, their debt and everything gets passed down to their children and their grandchildren, commodified. Okay, so to say it is retarded that the people of Ganawagi have done nothing about caring for their children that they say they love. They continue to allow their children to be subjected to lead braining by continuing to have your children in the Ganawagi Survival School. Now, one person might say, well, what am I to do? I can't take my child out. I got to work, or I got to do this. I don't have the time to take care of my own children. Well, gee, what has happened that you don't have the time for that? But it is the reality. And so this is what pressures people just to leave their children in survival school. What shows you that Ganawagi is full of shit. When they say, if you ever say, I love my children, you're full of shit. If you got children at survival school, no matter what, if you don't, if you're my age, I'm 63, I don't have no children in school, no school age children. I don't have nobody there directly, my children or grandchildren. But if I love my children and my grandchildren and my nieces and nephews, then we got to protect and care for all the children of Ganawagi. But this is not what's happening. There is only a couple of people who are coming forward and fighting this fight, and everybody else is stupidly complying with the white man's conspiracy to place our high school for our children on those grounds that they knew would poison the minds of our children. Everybody just continues to accept it. And you love it because it's actually providing you a living. You can see how your children are commodified, because if you said, no, I'm going to stay home with my children, you won't have this money rolling in that's rolling in on you right now. So it needs to be a collective action that everybody in Kahnawake takes an action to pull their kids out of that school, to put responsibility on the band system, to stop the band system's expansion, their colonial expansion here in Kahnawake, stop them from building a courthouse that they say, well, they don't want the white people going right into the village. But now they want to put a courthouse right here that they're going to have all the people coming to the courthouse right by your children at the sports complex. Wow, that's even worse. Because you know what? While they're going through the village to get to that courthouse, at least they're passing by your house where your kids are playing outside, where you're there, and you might hear something when they try to kidnap your children, and you could be there to stop them. But you know what? When your children are at the sports complex, you don't know nothing what's happening there. And the cops ain't gonna know shit either. And the court sure as hell ain't gonna give a damn, because the court is just a commodification. Commodifying you. Commodifying everybody in Kahnawake. And so that must be stopped. The monies must be filtered from their courthouse expansion into the emergency of shifting the kids out of the place that is a danger and a threat to them and moving them into the current offices of the band system, economic development, whatever, the business complex, wherever else in Kahnawake, and ship everybody out there, ship the court out there. This is what makes the most sense when you're thinking of the band system. Well, if they don't want people coming right into the village for the courts, well, then it's not a good idea to have them coming right in by the sports complex. So put them out there where the school is right now. All of it, the entire band system. Shift everybody that's in the band system that's going to be in the courthouse, shift them all out there. Put the court out there, put economic development out there, because it makes sense, because that's where they got their whatever that new building is that they're building, you know. So that's their complex. Move them all out there, save our children, move the children into the village. It's just a matter of shifting the assets, or shifting the children from one asset to the other. One asset being, there's the band system offices. Here's the building that they want to build for the courthouse here. So that's an asset. You shift the children out of the poison of the current survival school, shift them into these safe places, and shift all those people who work in those places out there to the survival school. That is the logical thing to do. Kahnawake is never going to do the logical thing. Kahnawake is going to continue to have your children exposed to poison. Even just one day after that announcement was put out by the Kahnawake Education Department or whatever, just one day after you sent your children to school, even just one day more, you cannot claim that you love your children. It's impossible. Okay, so a lot of people are going to say, hey, I got no choice. This is, yeah, big deal. Claim whatever you want. It's your children. What could you claim? That you could not protect your children because this was more important, that was more important? Or is it just that you were just too stupid and you just didn't care? Because that's what it adds up to, is the people of Kahnawake are just so stupid that they cannot care about what's happening to their children. It is, this again, the smoking gun of systemic racial genocide, industrial and economic racism. It's a smoking gun. Band system is up to here in it. They're covered in the shit. They are the shit. So It doesn't look very good for Ganawagi. Ganawagi has their head stuck up their rear end completely, because here we are 3 or 4 weeks beyond the flashpoint of you were being notified that it's not safe for your children at the Ganawagi Survival School. And even though they said it's safe for your children, you gotta be a retard to listen to retards. And you gotta be a retard to not take action based on what the retards have revealed to you. My goodness. So Ganawagi is stuck. There doesn't seem to be any goddamn hope for Ganawagi. No matter what, all of Ganawagi is leaving their children in that school to be poisoned. You are going to regret it later. When you are old and you need healthy-minded children, your children, to take care of you as adults, they're not going to be able to. You're going to have to take care of them. The way that most of the children that went to the survival school have some kind of something wrong with them that they need to be taken care of now. So imagine, just in their 30s and 40s, they need to be taken care of. Imagine when you are on your deathbed, when you're 80 years old and they're 60 or 70, and you expect them to take care of you. You will not be able to live your final days out the way that you're supposed to. You will be worrying and not wanting to leave this world, because you will know that your children are not able to take care of themselves. Okay, so this is the current chaos that is inflicting Ganawagi right now, and it's all due to white man's commodification. It is a white man's religious belief that you see playing out right here, right now, in Ganawagi, in the survival school. Because what is the white man's religious belief? What did they show you with Iran? Kill little girls in school. That's the white man's religious belief. Sacrifice. All three of the big three of the white man's religions, Judaism, Catholicism, the Islam, they're all about sacrifice. They're all about killing. And that is what brought the commodification here to Turtle Island. And that commodification is having your children right now be the commodity. You are the commodity that is being traded back and forth. Your children's futures are being traded right now. You don't know it. You don't see it. The future, 40 years from now into the future, your children's lives are being traded right now. Their existence in that future. Okay, enough said on that. I'm going to keep pushing that until something happens here in Ganawagi. Even though we know Ganawagi is not going to do nothing. They're going to keep their head buried up the white man's ass. That's what Ganawagi is going to do. Okay. Had a big week, big couple of weeks, big month, big winter, big all the time, everything, all kind of stuff happening. We had a very big day yesterday. It was a 6-hour Zoom. If anybody was with us, this was historic first time meeting of the Emergency Worldwide Peace Initiative that was initiated by our good friend Natalie Kessler. She's been grew up in the United Nations in that world, you know, navigating that world, and knows all kind of people within there and all kind of different organizations, entities, and she's organized them to get involved in this peace initiative. Anyways, yesterday we pulled off the first gathering, and there's going to be a gathering every new moon on this issue of Emergency Worldwide Peace Initiative. So yesterday was a really good interaction. Lasted 6 hours. Not going to really give a report on that. Anybody could see it if you're interested to sit there for 6 hours. Of course, while it's happening live, it's more interesting. But anyways, it went very good. Then already there are spin-offs happening from that. We had a meeting this afternoon with somebody that wants to do a documentary. Anyways, we'll just leave it at that right now because it's just the pre-stages. They want to do a documentary together with us about the Underground Railroad. You know, of when slaves were being brought to freedom here in so-called Canada. Anyways, that and more about connected to the peace movement, all of this. So this was just one thing that happened this afternoon and it went over really well. We agreed to work together and to work on this documentary. And there's so many things like this. Like we got so many pokers in the fire. I'm even like I got two pokers coming out of my head now, you know, as to all the different areas that we're working in. If there is nothing that we had to discuss, it's really just this little bit of information sharing. Unless there's anybody that's got anything that they want to say, that they want to address, put forward. If not, I think we could close up early.
Yes, we had said the Life Givers Nation has our monthly poster to present.
Okay.
But before that, we had a question too a while ago talking about the peace initiative with Natalie. We were wondering if it was every new moon because there is gonna be dates that are gonna have conflict with either the Life Givers Nation Council or with the Reconstitution. So like how we're gonna manage that.
It started at 12 o'clock, right?
Mm-hmm.
On Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could push it back to 1. I can't see going back any further than that.
The Reconstitution is at 1.
Not on Saturday.
Yeah, but I mean, because we have every moon, right? So once is going to be on the Life Givers Nation Council, and another time is going to be on Sunday with the Reconstitution.
Well, then we'd be looking at doing it on every Saturday, closest to the new moon. The same way we do the Reconstitution, the Sunday closest to the new moon. That's why I'm saying if we do it at 1, we can't push it back any further than that because of the time frames, like in Paris and in other places. And to push it back till 1, the Life Givers Nation, you would have to squeeze in getting your things done. Maybe move your meeting a little earlier from 10 till 1. But we got to accommodate the little movements and the big movements. We got to mesh them together. So that's how we would do it. We would have to commit to the Saturdays closest to the new moon. And instead of 12 o'clock, start it at 1. So that, again, that would depend on if the Women's Nation, your meeting.
Yeah, but that makes it worse because like if we're talking that it will be just one Saturday out of the next 7 new moons, for example. Then if we say every Saturday, it's gonna always be on our council. So that makes it worse.
Well, that's what I look at. That's what I said. The example of just like the Reconstitution. It's not always on the new moon. It's on the Sunday closest to the new moon. So we're gonna have to say on the Saturday closest to the new moon.
So then it affects our council each time, each council.
Well, that's why.
So why not the Friday then? It was on a Friday.
What was on a Friday?
It was yesterday on a Friday the first time. So why not doing it on Fridays then?
Oh yeah, Friday, yeah. Yeah.
Hmm?
Well, do it on Friday. If we did it on Friday, then we'll just say the Friday closest to the new moons then. If everybody was there on a Friday from around the world, then I'm sure they could be there in a month from now on a Friday also. So why was this any kind of like communication back from Natalie on that
No,
issue?
as I said, it was a while ago between Angela and I. That's how it came up.
I'm the one that asked if it would be like on the day of the new moon, like the exact day, because sometime it would happen on a Saturday or a Sunday, and it would be at the same time of reconstitution, and but it doesn't come from them. It was a question.
Well, we'd have to communicate with Natalie and see if they'd be willing to do it on the Friday closest to the new moon. Every Friday, closest to the new moon, or if we want to do it right on the new moon. Because then some days maybe it's even going to be on a Monday or a Tuesday.
Mhm.
I think once we talk to Natalie about this, then I think easily we'll find out that we're going to just say the Friday closest to the new moons. That's when it'll be done. So right now, this is what we should be communicating to Natalie. Okay.
So that being answered, we have the text from the poster for this new moon that we want to present from the Life Givers Nation. So my name is Isidore of Soco, granddaughter of Panchita, great granddaughter of Celsa, and this is the paragraph. So we usually check it for with the Longhouse before issuing it. So we're gonna just read it, and of course, there's a part that is specifically the rabbit dance that it's totally yours. So if you see something that is not working, like please let us know. So the balance between the female and the male in the longhouse comes from the ceremonies created to foster the little ones to become the elders that they are meant to be. The rabbit dance is the one that instills in the mind of the young ones that it is in the hands of the life givers to choose with whom they wish to dance. Under the guidance of the elders, it is the young life givers that will cross the floor to approach the side of the life protectors and ask one of them to dance. The young life protector is in no way obliged to accept. He will only do it if he so wishes.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. So right there's an option for the life protector to say, well, he doesn't really want to be in that equation. So the same thing has to be said before that for the life givers. Under the guidance of the elders, it is the young life givers that will cross the floor to approach. Okay, so in there it's got to be said, like something like if they are ready, when they are ready.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. You know what? That rabbit dance that applied even to little kids. That when I was in the longhouse, when I was a little kid, there was a girl that got up and crossed the floor and came and asked me to dance with her in the rabbit dance, and must have been maybe 7 years old. So it's even before that time of where you would be thinking of like interaction between a guy and a girl, like on the levels of intimacy. So let's see, how would we identify that? Under the guidance of the elders, it is the young life givers. Okay, just try this, write this in there. Upon being comfortable with their authority. Where did you write it?
Where I'm at, like where the,
Oh, it said under the guidance of the elders, the young life givers, right there.
you didn't say where.
That's
the-
where I read, up to there. Okay, so does that sound like the proper explanation there? Because not all young girls are gonna be ready to go across the floor and ask some guy to dance. Some of them are. Well, in the Longhouse, they're basically trained like it's not a guy-girl thing anyways. It's just, hey, we gotta dance at this time, so the girl gets up and goes ask the guy to dance. They're in the Longhouse, you're raised that way properly, then there is that comfort zone that the young girls have of doing that thing that isn't on an intimacy level, you know, between a guy and a girl. So does that sound acceptable to you?
What do you say, Angel?
Uh, um, I would not necessarily like, let's say, not knowing about knowledge of the Longhouse like I do. I don't think I would get that being said. I think with saying when she's ready would be a bit more understandable for more people. Because being comfortable within her authority, what does that mean if you're not used to? I don't know, that's what came to me, but I get what it means, but I'm not sure broader audience would get it.
Instead of upon being comfortable, then how about should she be comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
And then take out within her authority. Just should she be comfortable? But there's gotta be something like, should she be comfortable with that task or comfortable with that action? You know, there's gotta be that lead into it. What would that be? The verb? Under the guidance of the elders, it is the young life givers should she be comfortable.
Okay, so life givers, we have to put it in singular then. Like,
Yeah.
with initiating, because that's really the whole concept too of the. We say initiate somewhere, huh? Or no, later on?
Should she be comfortable with the task?
Well, it's not a task.
What's another word for task? With the initiative?
I would go towards like, should she be comfortable initiating it, like Edith suggested?
Okay, should she be comfortable in initiating? Okay, you know what? Read it over from the beginning here, under the guidance, and let's see how it flows.
Under the guidance of the elders, it is the young life giver, should she be comfortable initiating, that will cross the floor to approach the side of the life protectors and ask one of them to dance. The young life protector is in no way obliged to accept. He will only do it if he so wishes. The important behavior to be instilled is that no male is to approach or touch a life giver in any way unless she approaches him first and she allows it. It can only be her initiative and not the other way around ever. During the
Okay, you know what, I think here, no, this might be, apples and oranges to you. But I think that where it says she allows him first, unless she approaches him first and authorizes something that's connected to authority.
Yeah, well, that's what you wanted to say over there, and I agree with authority should be somewhere, and I don't think that we mentioned it like that. Yeah. She authorizes. Okay. It can only be her initiative and not the other way around, ever. During the dance, the young female and the young male stand in front of each other while holding themselves by their two hands. They will go 2 steps further and 1 step back.
2 steps forward.
Oh. In a big circle, symbolizing the flow of the heart, the flow of life. In order to advance, it needs a pause, a moment to relax, a break, a reflection. Another mechanism for this balance between the female and the male is the little ball game that is played at the end of the maple season between life givers and life protectors. It is crucial to recognize the roles that each other play in the continuity of life and to honor and respect it. These ceremonial processes are the base for the political life in which the life givers have their own council fire, the first step in collective decision making, separate from the life protectors, and have a veto power over any decision the males want to bring forward. This veto power is in no way related to their personal wants and needs and is in relation to the application of the great law of peace, of the collective well-being of the land that sustains us. At this time, the Life Givers Nation gives thanks to the life protectors who raise to the natural order of creation, to be the sons of their mothers and the hands in beautifying her world.
And her hands.
Okay. And we're just also going to share the little image that we want to share with it because I mean, if that's good, we're going to make it roll because we said that we wanted to publish it every new moon. So we made a little search on the web and we found this image that is kind of like the pretty, like closest one that we found as to what it could be, you know. Of course, I mean, there's no children, there's no elders, there's no longhouse, but it's really like the basic concept, you know, of the female and the male.
That's a beautiful picture.
Mhm.
I mean, big deal, it's a teepee, it's not a longhouse. It would be best if it was a longhouse, but that's a beautiful image.
Mm.
I mean, when you look at that, you see purity.
Mm.
You don't, I think any life giver on earth looks at that image and they're gonna see a proper male, you know, a proper male interaction there.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, I'm really tired.
You're not the only one.
Yesterday, really drained. That's 6 hours there. It's not just a matter of if you can sit there for 6 hours, can you talk for 6 hours? You know, it's a matter of being in we were basically controlling, you know, managing the whole thing and being able to address everybody's subject, whatever. That's not an easy task. It was very tiring. But today, I don't know, it was just so nice and warm. Such a beautiful day. I didn't want to do anything else. I wanted to work, just cut wood, but then I had this meeting I had to go to, so I don't know. It just now I'm just kind of like dragging my butt. I know there's things that we could talk about, but anyways, if there's nobody here to talk about things or nobody wants to put an issue through, so no point in beating a dead horse, so we're gonna close up then for tonight. And I don't know what song we're gonna sing. I'm gonna sing some song though. You got that?
Yeah.
Ooh, the drum is kind of dead.
It must be 95% humidity or something like that.
It's humidity, so well, we don't always have to use the drum. Okay, don't even have to use the rattle either. Okay, I think of this song, and back when, I think it's about 20 years ago, more than that, holy crap, 25, 30 years ago, when, no, not that long ago, it's within 20 years ago, within the 2000s, when in Grand River they had this expansion of condos onto the territory and people were fighting against it anyways. They had a big concert at the Chiefswood Park, and what's his name was there? Keatsacola, you know, the one that sings that Indian car song. And anyways, I'll never forget, if anybody was there, you know, you'll remember this, that he done that Indian car song and everybody was dancing like to a big round dance and just running around, jumping around, having a really good time. Oh, it was really magical there. That Indian car song, it must have went for like almost 20 minutes there, I bet you. It was so good. But anyways, there, I'll never forget. I don't know if it was, I think it was before that. There was a life giver singing, and I don't know who she was. I can't remember. She had a white dress on, like a white buckskin dress. If anybody was present and you remember, maybe you could pass on what her name was, and I'm sure you could probably even find this online. You know, I'm sure it was recorded. I know it was video recorded, so it's somewhere online. Anyways, she was singing this song, and you could really see the like the strength in her face and the power in her voice. And when she was singing, so she was singing, Hamba Imada, Hamba Sha, Hamba Imada, Hamba Sha, Weyane, 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 Hamba Imada. Hambasha, Hambarimada, Hambasha, Weyane, 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 Hambarimada, Hambasha, Hambarimada, Hambasha, Weyane, 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 Hambarimada, Hambasha, Hambarimada, way on it, way on it, way